If you've watched any of these trade tree videos, you know that the story of how a trade evolves over the years is not as simple as listing a bunch of names. And this one's complicated from start to finish. And part of the reason I love it so much is it's not finished, not by a long shot. Today, we're going to look at a monumental trade between the Vancouver Canucks and the Anaheim Ducks, the Ryan Kesler trade. Here it is in all its glory, and oh my good... Wow, did you leave some stuff on the Ducks side out? Looks a little lopsided, don't you think? Well, it's a lot more complicated than that. Let's go back to the beginning. With the 23rd overall pick in the 2003 NHL draft, the Vancouver Canucks select Ryan Kesler. Heck of a player for sure, but it was a heck of a draft in 2003. 14 players from that draft have already played in over 1,000 NHL games, and if Shea Weber has anything to say about it, it's going to be more before long. And not to mention, most draft picks, even the first rounders, take a couple years to develop, which was tough around that time because 2003 you get drafted, 2004 lockout all through the 2004-05 season. 05-06, there's a giant backlog of young talent trying to get in the league. And Kesler wasn't a superstar to start. 5 points through 28 games in 03-04. Okay, I mean, he's a teenager. 23 assists in an 82-game season in 05-06. Not bad, but not Crosby, Ovechkin, Phaneuf. It was a stacked year. 07-08 is when Ryan Kesler really started to take off with a 21-goal, 37-point season, which he followed up with a 26-goal, 59-point season, which he followed with a 25-goal, 75-point season. The following year, in 2010-11, Kesler put up fewer points with 73, but 41 of them were goals. He finally won the Selke Trophy as the league's best defensive forward in the 2010-11 season after finishing second the year before and third the year before that. In fact, in 2010-11, Ryan Kesler finished 8th in Hart voting. The Canucks were unstoppable that year. 3 of them finished top 10 in Hart voting. Daniel Sedin finishing 2nd, Kesler 8th, and Henrik 10th. In 08-09, the Canucks swept the Blues in the first round, lost to the Blackhawks in the second round. Next year, they beat the Kings in the first round, lose to the Blackhawks in the second round. The next season, they're a wagon, unstoppable, 117 points in the standings. They win the President's Trophy, Blackhawks in the first round, but they say, we're not going to screw this up, and they almost did, but only almost. They beat them Game 7, overtime, Alex Burrows, Dragon Slayer. But we all know how that ended at the end of the 2011 Stanley Cup Final, Game 7 against the Bruins. The Canucks couldn't pull it off.
The reaction from Ryan Kesler.
The following season, the Canucks, again, really good, 110 points in the standings. They win the President's Trophy again, take on the Kings in the first round, lose in 5. It was just one of those things. For 3 straight years, from 2010 to 2012, the team that ended up beating the Vancouver Canucks in the playoffs won the Stanley Cup. They were so good, it was a rite of passage. Canucks fans like, stop turning the knife! Alright, I'll get to it. The next season, the Canucks get swept in the first round by the Sharks. And there is a saying about, oh, their window is closing. This is a great example of that. At the end of the 2013-14 season, the Canucks do not qualify for the playoffs at all, and they really got to look at what they want this team to be going forward. And so, after 655 regular season games and 57 in the playoffs, the Vancouver Canucks and Ryan Kesler part ways. And the trade was huge. The Anaheim Ducks acquired, obviously, Ryan Kesler and a 3rd round pick in 2015 from the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for, are you ready? A 1st round pick in 2014, Nick Bonino, a 3rd round pick in 2014, and Luca Sbisa. We're gonna do the Vancouver Canucks side of this trade tree first, because the Ducks one doesn't feel like it'll take that long, but the Canucks get 4 pieces in this trade, some pretty good ones, and 3 of them get dealt. Starting with Lucas Sbisa, I know how some people feel about him, namely the analytics community. Some people saw him as a big defender who was a former first rounder, while others saw a guy whose team got shelled every time he stepped on the ice. Maybe this is too simplistic. I think games played count. And in 3 seasons in Vancouver, Sbisa played in 199 games. That's not nothing. And he's played in 548 over his NHL career. Confidently, he's played in more games than anyone watching this video. His time in Vancouver ended when the Vegas Golden Golden Knights came around and said, yoink! Now, the 2014 third rounder that the Canucks got in the Kesler deal, they didn't even use. The Canucks flipped that pick to the New York Rangers. Oh my god, what Hall of Famer did that guy turn into? Relax, the highest level they played was the AHL. The piece the Canucks got back though? Oh, he played on the big team. Derek Dorsett. Dorsett, I found a million different pronunciations on YouTube. He's one of those guys where I can never get it down. And to get a million different pronunciations, you gotta play in the NHL for a long time. And he played for the Canucks for a very long time. 184 games over 4 seasons. And he would have played in a heck of a lot more were he not forced to retire due to injury a couple seasons ago. Guy's a warrior. In those 184 games he played for the Canucks, 459 penalty minutes, including one season where he had 177. That doesn't happen anymore. Moving on to Nick Bonino. This was a crafty little piece of work from the Ducks. Bonino put up 22 goals and 49 points in a 77-game season with the Ducks, and they said, you know what, we're selling high. And Bonino's first season with the Canucks wasn't bad, 15 goals, 39 points in 75 games. But it wasn't what he had the year before. In fact, the 22 goals and 49 points that Bonino put up during the 13-14 season with the Ducks, still his highest totals in both categories. Remember how I said that's how his first season with the Canucks went? Yeah, it was his only. The Canucks traded Nick Bonino, Adam Clendenning, and a second-round pick in 2016 to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for Brandon Sutter and a third-round pick in 2016. I've seen a lot of Canucks fans refer to this as a bad trade or lament this trade. It's kind of bad luck. Sutter's first season as a Canuck, he only got into 20 games. Next season, a pretty full season. 17 goals, 17 assists, 34 points, 81 games. What's not to like? The following 3 seasons, 61 games, 26 games, and 44. Granted, no one's got a full season this season yet. How can you expect a player to achieve their full potential when they're not even playing in the full amount of games? And you might say, well, there was a second round pick in the deal too. It's not actually as bad as it sounds. The second rounder the Canucks gave to the Penguins was 55th overall. The third rounder the Canucks got from the Penguins was 64th. The Pens moved up 9 picks. As hockey fans, I feel like we have this habit of being like, first rounder? Franchise player. Second rounder? Hell yeah. Third rounder? Throw it in the garbage! 9 picks. Come on. That 64th overall pick, by the way, the Canucks used that pick to select William Lockwood, who was second on his team in scoring at the University of Michigan this year. To me, the Canucks did fine in that trade. The Penguins... Yeah, I think they liked it just fine. The last part of that trade, oof, this is gonna take a while. All right, I'm gonna have to give you the Coles notes here. With the 2014 first round pick, the Canucks select Jared McCann from the Sioux Greyhounds, who at the time had a GM who looked like this. The 15-16 season was McCann's rookie year, and he only put up 9 goals, 9 assists, 18 points. Not great, but he got into 69 games. That's nice. Not as nice as, Canucks fans, can you leave the room for a second? Are they gone? Okay. Do not tell Canucks fans that the next pick in that draft was used to select David Pastrnak, okay? You can come back. No, it's nothing. We were talking about nothing, right? Anyway, Jared McCann gets into 69 games as a rookie. Nice. And the Canucks say, so nice that we're going to trade you. And they did, in a trade that made a lot of people lose their mind. It's one of the few trades I remember where neither side seemed happy. The Vancouver Canucks traded Jared McCann, a second-round pick in 2016, and a fourth-round pick in 2016 to the Florida Panthers in exchange for Eric Goodbranson and a 5th round pick in 2016. To me, this was one of those analytics war trades. Canucks management wanted someone with a little bit more leadership, with some toughness, especially on the back end, and Eric Goodbranson fit that bill. The former 3rd overall pick, don't you know? All I remember the analytics crowd saying was, yeah, this trade's garbage, which was weird because the analytics crowd in Florida were like, this trade rules so hard! But although some in management maybe didn't say it out loud, they seem to imply, yeah, no, we think this is garbage. And what followed this trade was the beginning of the 16-17 season, which you might remember, the Panthers kinda left Gerard Gallant high and dry. And by high and dry, I mean on the ground with a suitcase after they fired him. And a lot of people thought that was weird because Gerard Gallant had so much success in Florida, and then they fired him. And then he was promptly hired by the Golden Knights, where he had a lot of success there, and then they fired him. There isn't currently a sitcom called Everybody Hates Gerard Gallant, but I would watch it. With him, Eric Goodbranson brought 309 games of NHL experience to the Vancouver Canucks, along with 2 giant fists and a beard that has a beard. Wait, he's 28? I'd love to know how many of his teammates over the years have mistakenly called him dad. The deal was confusing. Was Eric Goodbranson old? No. Were the Canucks good? Also, no. They had 75 points and missed the playoffs the season before. What were they doing trading a young Jared McCann, a second and a fourth? And then it got even more strange because then management changed in Florida shortly thereafter, and it seemed like no one liked Jared McCann anymore. Poor guy sitting there in his early 20s like, what have I even done to make you this mad already? The second rounder in this trade, the Panthers actually flipped that to the Buffalo Sabres in a trade that saw Dmitry Kulikov going to the Sabres and Mark Pysyk coming to the Panthers. The Sabres used it to select Rasmus Asplund. In the fourth rounder, the Panthers kept that and they used it to select Jonathan Ang. No NHL games yet, but he's played a couple seasons in the minors so far. Now, the 5th round pick the Canucks got in 2016, they used to pick a guy named Cole Candela. The good news is after several years in the Ontario Hockey League, Candela turned pro this year. The less than typical news is it was in Denmark. We'll have to keep an eye on that one. And as for Eric Goodbranson, in 139 games in a Canucks uniform, 19 points. But 136 penalty minutes, which is closer to why they acquired him anyway. Nearly a penalty minute per game. But at some point, the Canucks decided, we're kind of paying a lot of money for leadership. So the Canucks decided to make another trade with the Pittsburgh Penguins, this one being 1-for-1. Eric Goodbranson for Tanner Pearson. On the note of, we're kind of paying you a little bit too much, Pearson put up 14 points in 44 games after the Penguins acquired him from the LA Kings. After he was traded to the Canucks, he almost tied that with 12 points in just 19 games. There was something there. And oh, did that continue this season. 21 goals, 24 assists, 45 points in 69 games. Please say it for me. Okay, thank you. So for the Vancouver Canucks, the Ryan Kesler trade has gone through ups and downs over the years. A lot of downs, to be honest. But right now it's on the up and up, with Tanner Pearson being directly related to this tree. And as for Eric Goodbranson, I don't want to make it sound like I'm making fun of him. The Canucks acquired him for a specific job and he did it. It's not his fault the Canucks weren't good around him. People don't like to hear this sort of thing, but they brought him in for leadership. It was a young team. Who knows what rubbed off on the current Canucks group that looked a lot better this season. Now that's it for the Canucks. Now, the Ducks. How far into the video are we and we're just getting to the Ducks? No, it's 2 parts and I'll make it quick. The 3rd rounder in 2015, the Ducks used it to select a guy named DEVEN SIDEROFF. He split this past season between the AHL and the ECHL. Not a whole lot to report there. Ryan Kesler, after he was traded from the Canucks to the Ducks, was far from done. He threw up 3 straight 20-plus goal seasons with the Ducks, going from 47 points to 53 to 58 in a full 82-game season in 16-17. Any Oilers fans watching this might remember that season pretty vividly.
But remember, there's still a challenge left on both benches, and there may have been goaltender interference.
Well, you've got the last minute, so this one will get looked at.
Yeah, I don't think anyone ever accused Ryan Kesler of playing hockey to make friends. The brand of hockey that Ryan Kesler played throughout his entire career brought him a great deal of success. But it came with a toll. The following season, Kesler got into just 44 regular season games. The season after that, 60. The season after, none. Some people will point at his contract. I don't think that's related to the trade, really. You know, sometimes there might be a draft pick involved in a trade that a team totally whiffs on. That's not the trade's fault. The Canucks offloaded Ryan Kesler in part because the sun was setting on that time of the Vancouver Canucks, their time of contending. The Ducks got Ryan Kesler to win, and in 2017, they came close. Just because you don't win a Stanley Cup doesn't mean the trade sucks. Did the Canucks get value out of this trade? Of course. Do they continue to get value out of this trade? Yes, but Kesler gave the Ducks 180 points in 346 games and may still have more to give. And let's not forget 27 points in 44 playoff games with the Ducks, which is really why they acquired him. In his first season with the Ducks, he was 10th in Selke voting. In his second season, he was 3rd. In his third season, he was 2nd. Kesler was hated on the ice, but some of the stuff you see on Twitter, you can tell it's genuine. Ryan Johansson does not like that man. Did you see the Boston Bruins Zoom call recently? Milan Lucic still doesn't like that guy. And for a player like Ryan Kesler, that's probably the biggest compliment you could pay him. And who knows, for as long as this video was, we might end up checking up on this trade tree in a few years. Tanner Pearson just like, can I not get traded twice in a season again, please? So, what'd you think of that one? Leave a comment in the comment box down below. What do you think of this huge trade between the Anaheim Ducks and the Vancouver Canucks, now that you've had a few years to watch and think about it? Now, finally, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you liked this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell your friends that there's a lot more trade trees on this channel where that came from. We're doing them every week, folks. Let's maybe pick a smaller one next time. Holy